Hey guys, it's Whitney. Today we're going to be talking about the ABH Subculture versus the Bad Habit Retro Love palette. We're going to do swatches, talk about how much is in them. So, we'll get started with me showing. And here they are on top of each other. One is the top is the Subculture and the bottom is the Bad Habit Retro Love palette. And that's them. You can tell that it's clearly a dupe. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do swatches. And what I'll do is I'll put the Subculture in order, and then I will, on the top and then underneath it, we will have the Bad Habit with the dupe color and the names. Alright guys, so from left to right, the way you'll be viewing it, I'm going to start with the top row, which is all Subculture. And we have Cube, Dawn, Destiny, and Adorn. And then for the hold on. And then the bottom row from left to right, we have Psychedelic, Peace, Hippie, and Revolution. From left to right again, we have All-Star up top on the Subculture. We have All-Star, Mercury, Axis, Roxy, and Electric. And on the bottom for the retro Bad Habit Retro Love, we have Rock and Roll, Pop, Free Love, Flower Power, and Icon. Starting on the top rows, again, we have Fudge, New Wave, Untamed, Edge, and Rowdy. In the bottom row from the Retro Love palette, we have Youth, Fab, Mod, Rebel, and Nostalgia. Now, they don't, and really the biggest difference between the two colors I see right here are Fudge in the Subculture and Youth. Youth is definitely more, it's more warm toned than it is in Subculture, and that's really the biggest one. But, the Retro Love is $10 on the ABH website. This one is a cruelty-free product, and each pan, I have something in my snap. I had something on my mouth. Now, the pan sizes are bigger than they are in the Subculture. Okay, so the Subculture is also cruelty-free, and the shelf life on this is 6 months, but I've had this one since it launched, you guys. I've had it, and it still is just fine for me. And then for the Retro Love, it is good for 12 months. And if you can see, it gets just as dirty as Subculture, but there's a little bit more product, and it's only $10, so it's not that big of a deal. But for sure with Subculture, you want to always use a natural hair brush. That is something I've definitely found. And my favorite natural hair brush is the Morphe E27. It's a little bigger brush, and you definitely want to dip in really easy with these. Now, with that said, the shade Icon in the Retro Love palette, the greeny glitter, is better than the shade Electric in the Subculture palette. That is 100% sure. And the shade Cube is not as good as the white shade Psychedelic in the Retro Love. The only shimmer that's better in Subculture than in the Retro Love is the shade Adorn. So, and as far as the shade Axis, Untamed, Destiny, and Edge, I love the greens in here to pack them on. I do not use these to blend with. I think that if you don't absolutely hate the Subculture and you own it, that you definitely should pick yourself up a Retro Love, because an eye look that you want to do with this, you can use any color from Subculture to pack with. You just can't blend it very well. So to get a good eye look, since this is only $10, pick up both like I did, because what I'll do is I'll take the tiniest bit of Subculture and blend it out, and then I use the mattes that I want to pack with in Subculture. So they work together. But this is not the eye look right here. This is a different eye look because I forgot to film the intro for this. But we're about to get started with the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe. Alrighty guys, so I have two Morphe 518s. Neither one are dirty. I cleaned them off my little brush switcher. And I'm going to pick up the Retro Love palette from Hush. and these Subculture palettes so you guys can see. This right here is what they look like. Very, 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 very similar. I'm trying to do it where you guys can. There we go. So very similar. They're just laid out different with different names. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to use 2 different brushes every single time. So what I want to do, because I'm a little bit scared of the mess from the Subculture, is I'm going to pick up the Retro Love palette first. And this thing is dirty AF. So I'm picking up a Morphe 518. Like I said, I have 2 of these. I have a lot of the multiples of the Morphe white hair brushes, but yeah, I don't like any of them except for the 573. So I'm getting that shade, and the first shade I'm going to dip into is going to be the shade Peace. I'm just going to dip into that guy. Oh, I have it all over my hands. It's all over the mirror like it's dirty. So I'm going to take that and put that directly underneath my eyelid, just like such. And I already have down my MAC Soft Ochre paint pot. So I'm going to run that up there. Is that even doing anything? Is that even doing anything? I hate these freaking white hair brushes from Morphe. So I'm going to, and they have a lot of kick up. I'll show you guys whenever I have to dip back in, because I'm going to have to. I really don't feel like I'm getting any kind of color with this at all, you guys. But I have to use this color because I want to use the deeper greens and stuff in the palette. And I can't use the pinky shade they have as a transition. So I'm just building this up because we all know the Subculture is going to have a lot of pigmentation. So I need to make these 2 match. So then after that, I'm going to pick up my Subculture palette, my clean Morphe E18, well, clean. And I'm going to dip into the shade Dawn very, very carefully. Got that much on my brush. And I'm going to start putting that into this crease right here. Just like such. See, I'm dipping very carefully in there again. Knocking that off. You get a lot of pigmentation from the Subculture. One thing I will say about the Subculture, because I am one of the people that like it, is once you find the right brushes to use with it, and these I do not feel are the right ones. I definitely feel like you would need something more like the E27 and natural haired fluffy brush, not something with really coarse bristles that's really going to kick up a lot of shadow and pick up a whole lot of pigment, because this palette really cannot handle that. So what I'm doing is I'm just going back and forth in this guy, just like that. And see, this one has more buildup than this already. Okay, so the next shade I want to dip into, and I'm going to take my brush and just kind of, you can wipe it off on a towel, whatever. I'm just going to wipe it off in my hand. The next shade I'm going to dip into from the Subculture palette, I'm going to dip into the shade Edge, and I'm just going to dab that brush. No, I'm not. I'm going to grab a different brush real quick. So I got 2 Morphe M441s. I have 2 of them right here. It's just those crappy white Morphe brushes. They, whenever you clean them, after you clean them and dry them, they all are different. So I'm taking that one. It's more, it's deformed where I washed it. And I dry mine properly with the correct contraption. It's a lot. I'm going to knock that guy off, and I'm going to run that directly underneath the shade Dawn. Make sure I'm doing it on the right side. So I'm just going to blend this in, and we all know that these are kind of muddy whenever you do them together. Now that I have the shade Edge from the Subculture palette put down, I'm going to go into the shade Rebel with the clean Morphe M441. I'm going to dip it in there 2 or 3 times, blow it off. Mine is so messy. I don't know if you guys can tell. And I'm going to now put it on this side as the next transition shade down. So I'm just going to start. And I'll probably have to do a couple layers of this one, because we all know what it is with the Subculture palette, how pigmented the colors are. That was people's biggest complaint, and I'm dipping in there again, was that the shades were almost too pigmented and powdery. And you kind of had to be an expert makeup artist to work with them. So we're just blending the shade in. And this shade is blending in better with the first shade we put down. You can definitely tell that it's got the more yellow put in it. So all I'm doing is dragging it out too, just like I did the first color. Now this shade definitely turned brown. I'm actually going to try dipping back into Edge and trying to get it to work. So I'm dipping, knocking that off, and I'm going to try to build up that yellow just a little bit. But it just keeps turning darker. Like it literally just keeps turning darker. I don't know if you guys can tell, but it's really just turning darker. So, and then all that means is I'm going to have to go back into this side and even it out. Now that I kind of have the sides both almost even, I have right here 2 Morphe M433s. These are actually clean. I did clean them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the shade Hippie from the Retro Love palette. I'm going to dip that brush in there, knock it off, and place this directly into the crease. So my crease is right here. Now yours, if you do not have a almond shaped eye, yours will probably be different than mine. So I'm just going to keep redipping in there because like we know that this palette is not as pigmented as Subculture. Not many palettes are. So all I'm doing is running this guy right here through the crease. That palette, that color I used was not super it didn't get a lot of kick up, but I had to dip my brush in there 5 times to get this amount of pigment. So now what we're doing is I'm taking the clean Morphe M433 and I'm going to 1, 2, 3. Knock that guy off because we all know. I'm going to place, and see, it didn't even hardly hang onto the brush at all, which is something I don't, that's probably my only issue with the pigmentation. And look at this. It's really not going to blend. I might have to take a different brush instead of trying to use the same 2 brushes. You know what? I actually have a bunch of Morphe M433. So here's another clean one. I'm going to, because I already had 3 before I really started building up my collection. That's not going to work. Here's my 4th M433. Really trying to get this built up. And I might very well have to lay this down and go in with a natural haired brush, you guys, because I really think that's what I'm going to have to do. Because this just is not blending out. Yeah. Before I even go in with the natural hair brush, what I'm going to have to do is go over to the other side and deepen it up the way that I have my Subculture deepened. Alright guys, so the first thing I'm going to try to do is take this Morphe E27, and I'm not going to put more product on it. I'm just going to try to blend the edges out of this and get it nice and blended. If that doesn't work, I'll go in with the smaller natural hair brush. It is kind of blending the edges just a little bit, but not near as what I want. So I'm taking this brush, which is a Morphe E22. It's got a tapered tip on it. I'm going to start trying to blend. Oh, yeah. It's already blending a million times better. This is what I'm saying about this, though, you guys, is you really need to use natural hair brushes with it, not synthetic, because this lays down so much color and it's so hard to blend that you do not want to ruin it. I'm actually going to have to dip in again. And this is probably my biggest problem with it, besides how much kick up there is in the pan after you dip your color, but then nothing is on the brush. You're already wasting product. But then where they're patchy at, and you kind of blend away the color, you have to really keep going in and fixing piece by piece with more and more shadow. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm picking up the Retro Love palette with the going back in with the Morphe M411, and I'm going to go back in and pick up the shade Rebel, knock that off, and blend out the edges. If you guys want to know the truth, if I had to tell you to only get one palette, it would be the Retro Love palette. Now, I still love the Subculture palette. However, I'm using different brushes still. I'm going to go in with Edge and try to blend out the edges of this crap. But the only things I will do with Subculture is I will only use one color. And I will mix it with another palette, because that is my favorite way to do that. So I'm just blending the edges of that. Okay, so I have 2 Morphe M321s, these small little pencil brushes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up the Subculture palette, and I'm going to dip into the shade Axis very lightly. And we are going to pack that on the outer corner of the eye. Let me make sure I have it exactly where I want it. So I'm going to pack this guy on the outer corner of the eye right here. And just build it up a lot. Because you really can't blend these. Now the color Axis for me, the color Axis and the color Destiny are my two favorites in the palette. So I'm going in right now with the shade Free Love and that other brush, and I'm just building up this one as well. I'd already started on it, but it's already pretty much done. I thought I would have to do it a little bit more, but it doesn't look like I need to. And I think what I want to do is I want to do a halo eye with this. So I'm just going to keep dipping into the shade Free Love with that same brush and pack it on the inner corner of the eye, like such. And just work that in there. I'm going back into Subculture with that other brush, picking up Axis, and I'm going to pack it the same way I did on this eye. And it's going to go, yeah, see, it's even, I don't know. That's the only thing I hate, is whenever I said I use these only one shade at a time with other palettes, this is why. It's because I can never get a uniform look. Like, look how much more messy the Subculture eye is than the Retro Love eye. So I'm going to have to keep going in and building up the Retro Love side to get it as pigmented as Subculture. So the brush I want to use to kind of blend the edges is I'm going to pick up the one from the Retro Love palette, the M433, dip into the shade Hippie, the transition shade, and I'm going to blend this out. And I'm going to have to cut my crease because I went too far over on the outside part and the inside. So I'm just blending this like such. Then I'm going to dip into the natural haired brush for the Subculture and dip into shade Destiny right on the tip. Knock that off and blend in the crease on that side too. So I'm having to go back into the two yellow brushes. And because the Subculture side, whenever I put more into the crease, got way too pigmented and way too dark. So I'm going back into the yellow from the Retro Love palette. Putting it right here. And then as soon as then I'm going to go in with Edge and do it on the Subculture side. I'm going to take a Morphe M421, a flat concealer brush, dip into my NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer, and I'm going to cut my crease. Just taking that, looking in Subculture palette. Oh, I'm going to start on this side since it's way less messy. And just draw a straight line down. And my eyes are very crinkly and all that, so I have to be pretty accurate with, and then I have to go sideways a little bit. Okay, now that I have my crease cut, I've grabbed a Morphe 124 and a Morphe 167. I don't have the same one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the, no, that one's, okay. I'm going to take the 124 in the Subculture palette, and we are going to dip into the shade Electric, like such. And just run that through there. And we're going to put it on our finger as well after we get the base shade down. And even in there, like, it's so crumbly, you know? And I'm going to spray that a little bit with my Cover FX Illuminating Setting Spray. I'm using that because I will not put that on my face. I have pores from hell. I cannot put stuff like that on my face, you guys. So I'm going to start packing that onto here. I don't think I wet my brush enough to begin with. So I'm going to start packing that guy here. I might just have to use my finger. Yeah, I'm just going to use my ring finger and put it there. Okay. I hate using my fingers because my fingers are little chubby, little fat man wieners for fingers. Okay. I'm going to have to use my index finger. Okay, and then I'm going to do the edges. So what I'm doing is I took a simple makeup wipe and I'm cleaning my fingers off. Where I busted that black yesterday, I still have black everywhere somehow. So I've got my fingers wiped off, and now to make it fair, I'm going to dip into the shade for the Retro Love. I'm not going to use a brush at all. I'm going to dip into the shade Icon with my finger. And these feel, look at that pigmentation, you guys, compared to the Subculture. And I'm going to put that directly where I cut my crease. just like such. Now, I do believe that this is one thing. The Hush palette may have the Subculture beat on mattes, but the Subculture definitely has the Hush palette beat when it comes to shimmers. So now I need to go back in, and I have the Hush on that finger, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my middle finger for Subculture, get a lot on there. You know what? I'm going to spray my finger to help this. It might do something, you guys. Sprayed my damn finger, so hopefully that helps. I'm just going to start packing that on there, like such. Okay. Now I'm going to go back in with this finger, spray it too, to make it fair, because I'm trying to make them as even as possible. Okay, you guys, so what I'm going to do now is go off camera, do everything else. We'll be right back on to do the lower lash line and smoke the shit out of it. Alrighty, guys, so now that I have everything else down on my face, what I'm going to do is I have two Morphe 506s right here. The first thing I'm going to do is pick that up, and I'm going to the nasty retro love palette, and I'm going to dip into the shade Rebel. Knock that off because it's very powdery as well. I'm going to run that. I'm going to start it back here. I have to keep dipping in, start it back here to where and I'm also going to blend it into the green line right here. So what we're doing, I'm going to just running this down through here like such. I'm going to keep running that. Now I'm dipping into Subculture with that clean 506, dipping into the shade Edge, a couple little taps. Oh God, get my hair. I got foundation all in my hairline today, you guys. And just running this right here. And this shade is darker. So after I'm done with this video, what I'm probably going to do is mix them together. Now that I have the yellows blended in, I have two flat definer brushes. One is a BH Cosmetics flat definer. I always thought, number 2, I always thought this was a Morphe, but it's not. And I have a Morphe 432. It came in the Babes Faves eye set. And I'm going to use the Morphe one in the Subculture palette. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dip into the shade Untamed, the shade we have not yet. And I'm just going to pack that all over my brush. And I'm going to push this directly up against my lash line, because this is going to be a very deep look anyway. So I'm just pushing that. Because I'm afraid to blend it, because I'm afraid of all the fallout. And then I'm going to go in with the BH Cosmetics brush and the Retro Love blush and use those on this side, which in this one it'll be the shade Mod. And I'll probably have to dip in here a couple of times to get this one. So I'm just running that down through here. I feel like my video quality is cutting in and out because of Wi-Fi. So I'm just running that through here like such. And I'm going to build it up even more. And then in my lash line, I'm taking the shade Teal from NYX Cosmetics, and I'm going to put that directly in my waterline. And then to finish off the lash line, I'm going to take this Wonder Unleashed mascara that I got my BoxyCharm, my late-ass BoxyCharm this month. And I'm going to put that on my lower lash line. Now that I'm done with that, I'm going to I clean these off on my shadow switcher thing. Got a hair there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spray this brush first with that crappy illuminating spray, and I'm going to dip into the Retro Love palette, and we are going to dip into the white shade Psychedelic, and that is going to go in our inner corner. And I sprayed my brush because of all the glitter, obviously, so what I'm going to do is just pat it on right here, just like such, and then kind of bring it over a little bit. This is almost purple, this shade, I don't know. And then I'm going to pick up the second brush, white brush, spray it as well, and dip into the Subculture palette into the shade Cube. Just like such. That one's not really picking up a lot. I like loaded my brush on that one because it wasn't picking up much. And I'm going to put that directly in the outer corner as well. Just pack it on. I don't feel like I'm getting as much pigment from the Subculture. Oh, almost did it. Almost did it. Almost went to beat each brush, guys. Alrighty, you guys. So this is the finished look right here using the Retro Love and Subculture palette. I've had both of these for a while. And like I said, when it comes to Subculture, I will use this in conjunction with other palettes. I will take one shade, maybe two, one for the upper lash line, one for the bottom. But it will not be a shade that I'll be blending with. I just want to make that clear. So, and I also want to mention that they're both cruelty-free. This is good for 12 months. Subculture is good for 6. Subculture has 7 grams in each pan, and the Retro Love has 13.9 grams. So you are getting almost double in Retro Love. This one retails for $10 on Hush, and this is $42. Sometimes it goes on sale for half off. So I hope that you guys enjoy this video. And if you guys want to see swatches in the next video, the next dupes I do, then just leave it down in the comments. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, enjoyed playing around, getting to see which one was better. And please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye.